Hi guys, welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. I'm your host, Savannah Sharp. This is your number one place for amateur bikini bodybuilders to learn, laugh, share stories, and connect with other athletes across the globe. On today's episode, I have a special guest, Tawna Eubanks McCoy. On this episode, you are going to see us laugh, cry, share some really intimate moments on the podcast. We talk about her journey through competing when she grew up, how many sports that she did. We talk about battling through breast implant illness and still dealing with the aftermath of those health concerns, even to this day. So I'm so excited to let you guys listen to this episode. I had a lot of fun recording this episode. I can't wait for you guys to listen, and don't forget to like, subscribe, make sure you rate, review, and if you love this episode, make sure you screenshot it and tag both me and Tawna in our Instagram handles and tell us how much that you love this episode and what you got out of this episode. If you haven't already, head over to YouTube if you would like to watch and listen to this episode. I posted it on my YouTube channel, Savannah Sharp Fitness. I'd love for you guys to head over there. If not, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. We have another segment. So I have another bikini competitor on today. So I'm really excited. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us your name, where you're from, and how old are you?
Hey guys, Tawna Eubanks McCoy here. I am from Dallas, Texas, and I'm an IFBB Bikini Pro for like 11 years now. And I am so excited to be here and to chat with you, Savannah, and to chat with everybody and just talk a little bit about my fitness journey. It's a long one.
It is a long one. So 11 years as a bikini pro. How
Yes.
has your journey been? What has that experience been like? Let's kind of walk down through, like, where are you at now?
So right now I own a gym with my husband. We own a gym here. We're technically in Allen, Texas, but we're about 25 minutes north of downtown Dallas. It's called Hidden Gym. And if you ever come and see us, you will know why it is called that. So if you find us, come check us out. So right now, my focus has been on our business and our gym business. As far as competing and stage goes, I have sadly and unfortunately had to take a break from competing yet again. It wasn't by choice. I have been dealing with a lot of health issues. I got very sick in the beginning of the year 2019. And I had just got off the Olympia stage like that last September. So I have not competed since then. And I've just been working on my health journey and concentrating on my business and my marriage. And that's where I'm at right now today.
Well, that's fantastic. So, speaking of your Olympia, what was your highest placing ever in your career?
Highest placing ever at Olympia was 8th place.
Oh my gosh, you were 7 away from the title, which is so close.
Right.
It is
Right.
literally so close.
For me, it was more so like, of course, I would have died to be Miss Bikini Olympia. I would have loved that moment. But for me, it was like, I was literally 2 spots away from the top call out. Like I was in the top call out, but then I got pulled out for that second call out. So it was just like, oh, I almost got an award at Olympia. It was just like such a surreal moment. I'll never forget it. It was amazing, incredible.
Do you think that you'll ever step back on stage?
Ooh, question of my life.
I know. Or do you want to?
Yeah.
Whether if you maybe you will or you will, but do you want to?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do with every ounce of blood and bone in my body want to step back on stage. I love to perform. I love being on stage. I've been on stage my whole life. I love competing. I love getting ready for a show is tough, but you do, when it's over, love the journey. In the moment, you may not always love the journey. Let's be real. But when you do step on that stage in that final moment, you're like, damn, this is awesome. And I miss that so much.
Yeah.
like bad. I think about it all the time. So yes, I do want to. It's just a matter of, is this little body ever going to allow that to ever happen or not? We got to make sure she's all healthy and good from the inside out.
Yeah. So have you
Yeah.
maintained, because I know you do some posing coaches. So what else do you do to kind of stay connected to the fitness world?
Yeah, so I'm a posing coach. I have a whole slew of amazing, beautiful women that I get to work with daily. And I love that because even though I'm not on stage, at least I'm helping somebody to get to that moment. And I pose everybody from amateur to pro. So I get to have all types of different experience levels. And I get to do what I love every single day. But besides that, I love, for example, this amazing podcast that we're doing here. When you asked me to do that, I was so stoked. I love to stay connected, even though I'm not on stage in this very moment. I want to stay relevant in the sport. The sport is a part of my life. It is how I've become where I am today and who I am today. And I think just also at our gym, we have a well-rounded selection of athletes. We don't just cater to just one. Of course, we will always have our bodybuilding world with us. That is just who we are, my husband and I. I feel that we get to stay connected through that. But also going to local NPC shows and national level shows. So.
Yeah. So that's kind of something too. Like, I want to talk about posing just like a second while we're on this topic. So, what is your biggest advice for a new competitor who's learning a routine, or what common mistakes do you see that you're like, quit, don't do that?
Get off of YouTube.
Really?
Get off of YouTube. Stop watching YouTube, sister. You're not going to pick anything up from YouTube. If you do, it's a bad habit, because something you probably shouldn't be doing. And B, you're doing something that somebody else should be doing, but not necessarily you. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
everybody's physiques are completely different.
Right.
Our frames are different, our muscularities, our conditioning, hell, even our personalities. Like,
Right.
everybody's doing what's best for them, or should be. That's the trick there. You should be doing what's best for you. It's so common. I hear it every day. I gotta look like what Miss Bikini Olympia looks like. Or I have to look like what the girl beat me at the last show looked like. Or I have to look like what the girl who just won the overall at the local show looked like. Wrong, baby, wrong. You need to look like you and your very best. And that's just, especially in the world of social media these days, right?
Right.
We are always looking and comparing. And it's hard to do in this sport because it's a very looks sport. Like, how do I look? That's basically how I'm going to win or not, or how I'm going to do well. But at the end of the day, it's like, you have to come in looking how you look your best. And that goes not just for physique, but hair, makeup, suit, tan, and posing routine and poses. So I think my biggest feedback is stop trying to be or look like anybody else. You need to figure out what is going to look best on you, because it's not and shouldn't be like this cookie cutter image. It just can't be that way, because like I said, we're all so different in so many different ways. We need to portray different and what's best for our physique.
Yeah, I totally agree with you too, because, like the division changes each year, but the ones that are successful are focusing on themselves. And I know that you have done that too, like from your routines that I've seen, like your routine, I can't tell you whose it looks like because it was completely yours, like, and then people try to copy it. But like that's where you can stand out, is like when you add the flares and you add the sass. And so how can we add sass when we are doing first time shows and we're not as confident and we're maybe even scared to get on stage? Like, what does that mean when you're like, bring the sass? We say bring the sass. Is there a level of sass you can bring? Like, where's that line?
Right. And so that is the hardest part. And I think that's where it gets really hard. So it goes beyond just like what pose looks good on this girl and what pose looks good on that girl. It's the sass. That's where I was talking about our different personalities.
Okay.
Sometimes, and like my personality on stage, I feel executes my personality off stage. It's just I'm kind of crazy and wild. I'm like outgoing and bubbly. Like that's what you want to portray. And though maybe somebody's nervous, you don't want to portray that. But it's like you wouldn't want to come out like if your personality is not like that. You wouldn't want to try to go and perform that way. That it doesn't work because that's not you. So that's why I'm very big on posing coaching. I'm very adamant with my girls. I'm always like, whether you've been posing with me or not, I like to set a rule of start posing 12 to 15 weeks out minimum. And I'm talking pose with someone. Again, get off YouTube. YouTube's not going to teach you, baby. Okay. Get with somebody knowledgeable and work with them so that you can have a second eye and they can start to help you find where your sass is and who you are going to be on stage. Because sometimes it takes somebody to help you to do that. And the more that you are confident in your routine, in your poses, and what you're giving on stage, the more that sass is going to naturally come out. Sass and personality should not be this forced thing. Bikini is, in my eyes, it's different in everybody, but in my eyes, should be effortless and natural and fun and bikini. What you think a bikini girl is, right? So the sass can sometimes look or portray over the top or too much. And that's because I think it's trying too hard or they're trying too hard, if that makes sense.
It does.
So that is one of those things that has to come from within and a very natural thing. And that takes time.
It does. So I think your stage presence had to come from somewhere. So where did that come from? Where is your background? Where does all this sass come from?
I've been on stage since I was 3 years old.
Okay.
And I started doing everything from tap, jazz, and ballet were my first little experiences into the performing world. And I started doing beauty pageants later after that as well. I then went into gymnastics. And then when I started to get into junior high, I was doing gymnastics pretty seriously. I was like in team training. I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wanted to do all that. But my parents, gave me the ultimatum, like, you either do this or this. We can't do both. It's too much. And I wanted to do sports stuff with all my friends. So I dropped gymnastics and I started doing everything from like basketball, volleyball. I was cheerleader. I did high jump. I was on a Syntex league, like an out of school league for basketball, and then got more into beauty pageants the older I got. So my background is literally everything performing from 3 years old until I graduated high school at 18. And that's how I got started in everything. It was just my love of being on stage. I think it's in my DNA, a little slightly blood.
So yeah, with all of the sports that you played, what drew you to beauty pageants? Because you think of like a jock athlete, you don't really think like of beauty pageants at the same time. So what was the draw for you?
So I've always been that way. I've always been super athletic and really sporty and can be a tomboy and out rolling in the dirt to then running inside, taking a shower and getting in my evening gown and practicing on my walks. I've always been that like princess tomboy. I love athletics and sports and playing in them. And I loved being frilly and girly and dressing up and doing the beauty pageants. I love both. I was never one or the other. And I think that's how I found my love for this sport because it was so much of both of that. It was the grueling working out every day, being an athlete, lifting weights, not the beautiful parts like sweaty, blood, sweat, tears, taking my food away, like all the things, to then getting glammed up for that special moment. Everything down to the nines with the suit and getting up there and performing. Like it was the epitome of everything I had always done my whole life. And true story in regards to that, when I was doing beauty pageants, I'll never forget, the more I started doing them, the more I started realizing I don't know that I really want to do the whole beauty pageant thing. I kind of got sick of the judging portion where you have to do the interviews with the judges. And even though it was fun to dress up in the evening gowns, I really just wanted to come out and wear the swimsuit.
Yeah.
And legit asked my mom, do they do pageant where it's just the gym? They do. I found it. So it was really cool whenever I discovered the sport of bodybuilding or bikini division.
So that
felt like I found a beauty pageant.
it was meant for you. It was the best of both worlds. So when you first found out about it, how old were you? What year was this? And then what were your initial thoughts about it?
So that story is how I met my husband.
Okay.
So I discovered bodybuilding in 2010, and I was 21 years old. And I did that by doing, so when I graduated high school, I needed something. You know, all my stuff stopped. Beauty pageant stopped, sports stopped. Everything just stopped. And I was like, oh my God, I need to compete in something. Like, I don't know what to do. So I was doing more so like just bikini competitions. They were not in the fitness industry. They were just like local bikini competitions in different places. And I was doing one of those. And my husband, Greg, was judging. Actually, him and Steve Kuklo, if you know who Steve Kuklo is, IFBB Pro. Yeah. So that's how I met those two guys. They've been best friends for years. And they were judging it. And after the competition was done, Greg waited on me and said, hey, I see, you know, a bikini division in bodybuilding world. So bikini had been like alive for maybe 9 months when I first started to compete. And gave me his business card and said, I own a gym and I'm a trainer. I'd love to help you get ready for your first show. Of course, there was some attraction there. I was like, what is this? Like, you know, it sounds awesome, like fitness, but like bikini, this kind of sounds right up my alley. So I was super interested in it. I went back home that night at like 2 a.m. I emailed him. I was like, let's do it. I'm ready. I want to do this. And that, like, within 8 weeks, I did my first show from that moment. And he trained me for my first show for 8-week prep. Just think about that. That's pretty short prep. But anyways, I went on to do my very first show, and I took the overall title. So that's how I got started in it.
Do you feel like, so you, I mean, he was your judge. Like, did you care? Did you, like, how did that work? Because, you know, like, you don't want to like date the judge, right? But if you're attracted to him, like, what do you do? So,
yeah. And so, and that sounds like, so he wasn't like an NPC judge.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing like NPC shows. He was just like judging a, I would call it a rinky-dink bikini competition at a local bar. It was technically, if you want to be real, it was at Dick's Last Resort. If you know what that restaurant is. Yeah. So, yeah, it was like, I was never going to see him at a competition or a bikini show like that ever again. But yeah, no, he was definitely my type. And we didn't just fall in love first. You know, we trained together for probably, I would say, a year. And then finally we started see each other. But yeah, we've been together for 10 years now, and we just had our 5-year wedding.
Oh, congratulations. I'm so happy to
Thank
hear
you.
that. And I see your guys' Christmas card, the iconic Christmas pictures. I look forward to that every
Yep.
year. I love them so
Yep.
much. How did that get started?
McCoy's Christmas portraits. Yes. So, we wanted to do something. We were just like, okay, I want to take like Christmas pictures or something, just do like family cute stuff. And I was like, but I don't want to like get in flannels and go in a field and take pictures with a Christmas tree. I don't know, you're like standard Christmas portraits. So I was like, how can we do something? And we just kind of bounced ideas off of each other, and we were like, what if we, and then this was born. And the first time that we did it, we really had no intentions and to be such a hit, and we just kind of threw it together, and everybody loved it. So it's now become a yearly tradition, and everybody like waits and begs for them. When October starts to roll around, people start asking us where they are.
I think there's so much fun, and you can tell that like you guys just have so much fun together. So I absolutely love that too. But kind of
it's a blast.
starting your first show in like the NPC, how did you do in the beginning?
Yeah, so my competition journey took off fast.
Okay.
So my first show was in 2010, and I won the overall. So I was ready to move on. And I went to my very first national show a couple weeks later, which was USA's. And I did that. I went on to do, I think, 2 more national shows. I did a junior USA's twice, and then I did Team U, which back in the day it was called Team U. I know now it's just Universe. It's the same show. They just renamed it. But I did Team U back then, and that's where I turned pro. So in 2010, June of 2010, I did my first show, and then July 2011, I turned pro. Wow. And it went fast. It was super fast. And my first pro show, I did shortly thereafter, and I was top 5. And I think I went to a couple shows after that. I think I did Pittsburgh Pro and New York Pro, and I got 7th. And then after that, my entire pro history, I never was outside of the top 5.
Ever?
No.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so magical.
Yeah, a pro show. Now Olympia, like I said, I think my first Olympia, I've been to the Olympia 5 times. Maybe I should mention that. I've been to the Olympia 5 times. I've been to the Arnold twice. I think my first Olympia, I think I was like 13th or 11th, and then, or 13th, I think, and then I went to 11th. And then I went to 8th, and then I think I went back down to 11th, and then my 5th Olympia was 16th, which was the worst I had done ever. I had never been just, tied for 16th for the Olympia ever. But as the sport evolves, it's harder to keep up with. But my pro shows, I had never placed outside of top 5.
That's fantastic. How did you maintain consistent for that long?
Yeah, for a long time when you really look at it. Yeah. And it's different because, it's not as if I've just been competing straight, never taken a break, never taken off seasons or time away. That would be, I don't think that's physically impossible. I don't think that's physically possible to do it that way. I've taken a couple hiatuses, if you will. I took 2 years off at one point when Greg and I first started, when we were planning our wedding. And I did that for a couple reasons. Number one, I wanted to focus on us getting married and the wedding. And then number two, I mentally needed to take a step back. I was not okay mentally, competing and stuff. I had kind of pushed my limits there and done a little too much at that point. So I took a couple years off, and I honestly didn't know if I would come back or not. And I have a whole YouTube series on that because I did come back. And
No.
it was incredible.
Yeah.
And so I think the longevity that I've been able to have in the sport is the breaks that I've taken. Um, I think a lot of people think that in order to stay relevant in the sport or to be able to compete and be good, that you have to just compete consistently.
Right.
And it's true to a degree. Of course, if you want to stay consistent and be good at shows, it is to a degree. But I will say there is also benefit to taking time away because mentally you need that time to be able to stay consistent in it, or you're never going to be able to have longevity and compete in the sport as long as I've been able to, because it just gets to a very daunting point. I think every competitor knows that you have to take time away. And then physically too, you need time to step away to let the body heal or to build muscle, which is always my dang case. This poor, twiggy, skinny little body, she just can't keep up. I'm not meant to be a bodybuilder. But I refuse to let that stop me, and I just love it so dang much. So, I think it's so important to take those times away. And then, of course, my most recent hiatus was not by choice. I wouldn't have wanted to take this time off. I was really happy to make my comeback that second time and compete. But unfortunately, my body has been through some turmoil and health issues. So I need to iron all that out.
Yeah. Do you want to expand on some of the health issues that you went through? So I know it was pretty like life altering, and it's important to take care of your health in this sport because, like you said, the longevity. A lot of girls I compete with too. It's like you think you need, it feels like it. That feels like if I take a month off, like I'm not relevant. If I don't do the show, if I don't, it's like you have to think about it in terms of if you do take time off, like what if you come back better? So where did your health issues start? And let's kind of like start going through some of those experiences too.
Yeah, so it's really rough. I'm still trying to iron everything out. And for those that don't know, 2 years ago, I started to get sick. A lot of different things. I also have a YouTube video on this, so I just would recommend so that we don't waste too much time on the podcast.
Okay.
You girls, go check that YouTube out, that YouTube video out. You can also check my Instagram. I have updates in there as well. But long story short, a lot of random weird symptoms just started to kind of explode on me one day, and it wasn't getting better. And I saw many doctors. I had so many tests done, and nobody could figure out what was wrong and answers. And so I made the ultimate decision to remove my implants, hoping that that would be my answer, or at least help the situation of whatever was going on. And nobody could tell me if that would fix me or not. But in my eyes, it was one more thing to check off my list of saying, okay, that was it, or that wasn't it, but at least now I know, and I'm on to the next thing.
Right.
So I explanted on April, coming up on April 24th, 2 years of explant surgery. Mm-hmm. And the good thing is that it helped. It was my answer, and I didn't know that and took the risk. But to me, that risk was well worth it than the risk of keeping them and not doing that and getting more sick. So that's that part. Yeah. And it's still an ongoing battle, I will say. I think a lot of people think that removing my implants, or if they do so, because I know a lot of women experience that, it's going to be their magic eraser button. And that when they remove it, that's it. You're healed and you just move on.
Yeah.
Oh, baby girl. No, baby girl. It's not. It's just the start of it. It just, and everybody's different. Everybody has different healing journeys. Mine's still like in the works of cleaning up damage that happened from that. So, there's a lot of hormonal issues that I'm dealing with. And I did have mine test positive for bacteria growing on them.
Right.
So currently in the process of still clearing and detoxing bacteria and toxins out, which when you have them, as long as I have them, it's a lot more than what you can do in a year and 2 years. It's going to be a little longer of a journey. So though I am so much better than I was, and so grateful to be where I'm at right now, I still have work to be done. So that's, a little bit of that journey without going too much, because I can talk. That's a whole nother podcast.
I know it is. And
Yes.
I wanna pull out some of the mentality behind it. So how did that experience make you mentally stronger?
It made me so much mentally stronger than I ever knew I was, because the thought of, and not only the thought, but the knowing and feeling that something is wrong with you and nobody knows what's wrong and nobody can tell you anything, and you just have to live with that every day. It's
I'm
it's so
sorry.
hard.
I know. It's okay. I'm so proud of you. You've done so much, and you're inspiring so many people like myself. So I know, like, through watching your journey and watching you be strong, that if I'm hungry and I'm on prep, and I said if I see I
You can do it.
can be a little hungry and you can get through that. So just know, like, it does have an impact, and your strength is so it's just amazing. So everything that you've done and been through, it doesn't go unnoticed, and you have so many people supporting you. And I hope that you know that and realize that too.
I do. I really do. I see it every day, and it's so great. It helps me so much. And it's like, you think I would get better at talking about it, but it's just, it's tough. It's hard.
Yeah.
And I've had to be nothing but mentally strong. I had no choice.
Right.
It was that or give up, and I refused.
Right.
I had to fight, because I don't think people really understand the extent of how sick I was.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sick. Yeah. No, I just begged my husband to check on me in the night to hope that I woke up in the morning, kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had no choice but to stay strong. And there's so many breaking points that I had, but I've just told myself that if I could get through that, I could get through it. And I did, and I'm still making it through. But yeah, it was hard to do that, to know something's wrong with me, and I'm not good, and I'm sick, but nobody can give me an answer. Like, it just keeps me fighting, because it's like, nobody, even now, removing the implants, nobody can say, like, no doctor, is what I mean. Like, nobody can say, yes, this fixed you. It's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, I just did it and I'm better. and working on getting better.
That episode was getting pretty juicier, so I'm going to briefly interrupt just to remind you guys to use my discount codes for Angel Competition Bikinis, your go-to source for competition bikinis. You can use code Savannah S to receive 10% off at checkout and a free gift. If you need any supplements or your go-to prep products, head over to my favorite company, Steel Fit, and you can use code Savannah S for 10% off. You can get your competition show day heels at the Shoe Fairy and using code Savannah. If you are looking for macro-friendly cookie dough, the Lion's Choice, now known as King's Nutrition, you use code Savannah. If you want your post-show cookies, you can go to the Competitors Cookie Co. and use code Savannah at checkout, and you'll get a free cookie with your purchase. I just want to remind you that I love you, and let's get back into this episode.
But it's a weird feeling to have something so wrong with you, but nobody be able to give you an answer. And that really made me, I would say, weak for a while, because it really messed with me mentally. And now that I've like made it through, and I think just, the fact, I think I am just so damn proud of myself, because nobody could give me an answer, and I just listened to my heart and just said, this is what you have to do. I think that's what's also made me so strong, is that nobody said you should do this to get this. I just said that on my own, and I made that decision, and I made the tough decision to do something so drastic. Yeah, that's a tough one, but if I can explain it in the best way that I can, sorry for getting emotional.
No, I appreciate you just being so open with us that you're willing to share. And there's someone out there that may be experiencing health issues that, it's going to open up their minds. So the more that you can get that message out of advocate for yourself, if you think something's wrong, it's amazing. So I do want to ask you, how do you stay motivated? So what wakes you up, and how do you have pep in your step today? What do you do to stay motivated on maybe days where you're not 100%,
Yeah. So, I feel like I've always been asked that question, and I think that changes with time. Your motivation, it changes for different reasons in your seasons in your life. For me now, my motivation to get up and get going is, I'm just so grateful to be able to do that, and to move, and to be able to be active again. Even if it's not to the extent of what I want to be and want to be doing, I'm just grateful to be in the position that I'm at, and to be able to wake up every day and to feel good, and just so grateful for life, that I'm just happy. And I want to take advantage of it, and I don't want to ever miss out on that feeling ever again. It really makes you look back to, I always do look back to what you're saying. Like, if I could be unconscious, if I could be a little hungry, I could do it because she made it through this. I look back to Tawna competing and being pissy or mad or aggravated or tired or hungry, and being like, girl, cry me a river. Like, boo-hoo. You were like great, just chill, so I just like look back on that. And so that's what I'm saying, like, the different stages. Obviously, in that stage of my life, my motivation was like just to be a better competitor, and be better in the gym, and be better, try to get that win or whatever it was. And now my motivation is just to be able to get up every day and feel good and alive. So,
well, that's awesome. So when you are looking at your future, what do you see coming up along the way for you? What would you like to happen, or where do you envision yourself going?
So it's slightly already starting to happen. We are expanding the gym, so we're really excited. That's something we've always wanted to do. We've been owning gyms now for 10 years. This is our third gym to have, not at the same time. We've just kind of had three different gyms, and so now we're going to have a hidden gym location too. And that would be super awesome to have a location for, maybe in California, or maybe in Florida. So we'd love to expand Hidden Gem more. Um, and we are going to have one that's going to be locally in Dallas. And I'll touch more on that later. But yeah, we are expanding the gym, which is really important to us and something we've always wanted to do. And I don't know, that's kind of such a tough question for me, because for me right now, my goal is like just to be 100% completely healthy, not have any issues. And that's really all I can get my mind wrapped around. I think my goal would be to just be so super healthy and feeling good. I would love to be able, if I get to that point, to be healthy, to step on stage again. I would love to, expand more in my. I'm an athlete for a couple different companies, and I would love to just like be able to do more with them. Yeah, there's a big goals and small goals along the way for sure. But the big goal is like the gym, and we're already seeing that start to happen. So
That's super exciting. I'm just curious, like, what is your current like supplement diet routine right now?
So my supplements are, I kind of like backed down. I'm not eating super typical bodybuilder diet anymore. I normally do, just because that's embedded and that's just how I live my life.
Right.
6 meals a day. It's just kind of natural by now. I would feel odd to not. But I will say, like, the protein intake is just not as much. I do eat just like 5 meals, not 6 meals. And I am a little bit lower carb than I would like to be, but higher fats. That role has changed drastically for me. When I was competing a lot, I was very much so high carbs and lower fats. And that's just how my body responded well to looking the way that it needed to be for stage and building muscle. And my training has just unfortunately had to take a little bit of a back burner still. My body just isn't healthy enough still to start training the way that I would like to. So with that, I don't need to be consuming as much protein as I normally do, or as high of carbs. And I'm even with the supplements. So I do still take supplements. I'll take a pre-workout, and if I do train, I'll take EAAs. I drink protein powder. I switched to vegan. So I'm just doing things a little bit different. I've played around with a paleo diet, and that was terrible.
So what is it? Is that like regular, like old school foods, like meat and like weird stuff like that or something?
It's not weird stuff. It's more like the caveman diet, I think, is what it is. And so it's meats. And I even like switched mine up to where I wasn't even eating anything but salmon for meat. So I took chicken out, and I wasn't having any red meat. I was only having salmon and egg whites, and then it's like pretty much no grains. So I mean, not pretty much, it's no grains, which means, yeah, that face. No oatmeal,
Oh,
no
man.
rice,
Those are
no
my favorite.
quinoa. Right. That's what I'm saying. Everything I've ever known is gone. So it's pretty much protein, veggies, and fats. So that's why I was saying I've really lowered the carbs, and I'm pretty much, I mean, it almost feels like a keto diet.
Yeah.
I can have sweet potatoes. That's about it. So it's fun. I've just been doing some different things just to try to, these are different protocols that I've had to do for detoxing and cleaning up the body internally. So, yeah, it's a little playing and trial, and it's been good. I get lean as hell from it, and the fat's help me to feel not so hungry. But unfortunately, my training not being as heavy or consistent as it normally needs to be, especially for this tiny little body, I just end up just getting skinny, not shredded, like lean and muscly and jacked. Like I just get skinny. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting towards the end of our podcast. We got 15 minutes or so. So I want to pick your brain, and I want your motivation, and I want your advice. I want it for myself personally, but I also want it for our listeners.
Okay.
So, what advice do you have for someone who is not started a fitness journey and has no idea where to start? Where can they go? And what advice do you have to start a fitness journey from scratch?
You need to have someone. You need a coach of some degree, whether it's a trainer or just a nutritionist. You need someone knowledgeable. Like I was saying earlier to posing girls, stop watching YouTube. Of course, you can get some good information from following people on Instagram, or maybe that's how you find your trainer, or how you find your coach, but just get with someone and follow that protocol. And then if you do, get to the end of that journey and you weren't happy, or you find somebody else, then you can go to that person. But the too many cooks in the kitchen, man, oh man, is that a real thing? And especially starting out when you know no better and you don't know anything, um, you can really you can really get some damage done, being new and not having somebody knowledgeable, or just following a couple things from here and a couple things from there. I think it's important to have somebody help you with your journey. So for me, step one is find a knowledgeable coach, whether that's a trainer or a nutritionist, or if you're doing a fitness competition, a coach, whatever it is, get somebody who can help you on the journey. Um, that you need the guidance, you need the second eye, and you need that motivation. So that's step number one, what I think is super important on a fitness journey, is have somebody knowledgeable.
Yeah. And then for someone like myself, so I have been competing since 2017. So it's been 4 years and I'm still on my road to pro. We're still trying.
Awesome.
So what advice
Love
do you
it.
have for someone like myself, that's trying to hit the national stages, that maybe isn't having like the best placings, it's taking our feedback? What is your advice to like someone like that?
Okay. So Um, try, first of all, yes, I would definitely make sure that you're, getting your feedback from the judges and implementing that. And like we were saying, don't be watching just what Miss Bikini Olympia looks like and trying to mimic that and cookie cutter that. We got to find what your total package best look is. And all you can keep doing is keep working on those things. And if something didn't work, change it or try to change it, whatever it is, if it's physique or posing or suit or hair or something, make those changes, come back and get the feedback again. And I think it's also important to know what is not broke, don't fix. Like, don't try to fix something if it's not broken. Like, if it works, it works, and stick to it and keep showing up. And, I would say try to stay consistent with the shows that you go to, the judges that you go to are in front of. Keep staying consistent with where they are. Um, yeah, and same thing. Get a knowledgeable coach, contest prep or posing, whatever it is that you're needing the help on that's lagging. Like, get somebody to help you with that. Don't just like do it on your own. I know it's easy in a world of social media to get feedback, but there is such thing as too much feedback from different ways, and you don't just got this straight line to help you go this way. Does that make sense? Like, uh, even if you don't have, you're not listening to just coaches, it's just too much feedback, so just stick to a plan and go with it, no matter what that plan is.
Right. I love it. Yeah. So I'll tell you about my journey too. So I'm on my first show of the season. So we're prepping 13 weeks out, and then I'm going to be doing the Patriots Challenge in
Okay.
July. And then we're trying to get a top five, fingers crossed. So then we can go to USA's at the end of the month and then try to hit some national shows in 2021. So that's kind of like my plan. What I've been doing this time that's different is I've been trying to focus on the small wins this prep. So what do you tell like your clients when you're posing, like so they can like progress each week? What kind of small wins do you have as far as like posing or even in your own fitness journey that you look forward to each week?
Right. So, are you talking about like during your prep or like just at from each show?
Yeah, I mean for each show and in your prep, they can be both the same too.
Yeah. So I'm very big on those little small wins throughout prep because you have to have like these little mini goals. Because if you just look at the big outcome, oh, honey, is that going to be forever? 13 weeks is a long time to look at this one goal.
Yeah,
We got to have some little goals to make our way up there. You know what I mean?
I
And that could be anything from a PR in the gym, or I busted out 5 or 10 chin ups, or whatever. I beat one more chin up from the last week, or, if it's tightening up, losing weight, or I hit my goal weight, or whatever it is, or my measurement. Um, or posing, I was able to get through this first part of my routine and not really trip up, or I nailed my transition here, or, just little things throughout the prep that make you still focus on the prep. Does that make sense? So it's not like make a little goal of like, I don't know, something completely off. Like make it consistent with like your workouts or your posing or something. But yeah, I would say definitely. I love that you're doing that, and I think that's going to help you stay happy throughout the journey, because it's like you do this and you only look at that, and then it just gets so long. You got to give yourself those little boosts and those peps to keep you going throughout the way.
I'm really excited too. Like I would love to see you back on stage. But I have to ask you our final question, the most important question. Normally I start with this question, but I forgot. So I left it to the end.
Okay.
This is like the question. So do you
Okay.
like cupcakes or protein shakes?
Oh, I love cupcakes.
Oh, yes. Okay. And then what flavor, if you could vividly describe your perfect cupcake?
So my perfect cupcake is funfetti cake with buttercream. Has to be buttercream. You can't just do
No.
shit.
Mm-mm. Eh.
You've got filling in the inside
Uh-huh.
with the tiny sprinkles, the little round
Uh-huh.
rainbow ones. Yeah, the little crunchy, like yeah,
Yeah.
favorite sprinkles. So that's in the inside,
Okay.
and then just huge mound. I'm big on icing,
Okay.
butter, yeah, with all those sprinkles on
All
top.
over.
Possibly, maybe like those little mini tiny Pop Tarts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That sounds amazing. I think if you were a cupcake, that would be you for sure.
Rainbow confetti, yeah.
So that was everything. And I think we covered so many different topics. And I was just like excited to get to talk to you too in person. So thank you for coming on the podcast. Like I sincerely appreciate it so much. And I love getting your message out to all different competitors out there alike. So our episode will go live, I think, next Wednesday. So it'll be on Spotify, and I'll throw it up on YouTube as well. So I'll send you those links after our show. And then where can our listeners find you on social medias, or if they want to come stop by your gym?
Yes. So, yes, please do. If you are either local in DFW, Dallas, Texas area, or if you come, please do come check out Hidden Gym. We are in Allen, Texas, and you can find us at www.hiddengym.net. And that's hidden, HIDDEN, and then gym, GYN. Yes, it is a play on words. And you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. The same thing, it's at hidden_gym. And then you can find me on all social media platforms. Just type in my name, Tawna Eubanks McCoy, and you can find all my links through there. I'm really active on Instagram, but I have YouTube and Facebook as well. So please do come by, say hi. Love to know that you came from the podcast.
Perfect. And what other things do you have? Do you have any announcements that you want to drop, or is that everything that we covered? So much for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review. If you haven't already, go ahead and head over to Instagram and follow myself at Savannah Sharp Fitness on Instagram. And you can also follow the podcast at Cupcakes Protein Shakes on Instagram. If you are not watching today's podcast, you head over to YouTube, Savannah Sharp Fitness. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment who else you'd like to see on the podcast. If you are an amateur bikini bodybuilder, a pro athlete, or just someone who loves fitness in general, I would love for you to come on the podcast. So DM me on Instagram if you'd like to schedule yourself to come on.
Hilarious.
I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to see you next Wednesday for another.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm going to let you go enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope all the listeners are having a wonderful day whenever you're listening to this. Thank you guys for listening this week.
Bye. Thank you so